Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the studio for Watercolor Wednesday. Natalie, Tom, welcome. You've already been here and talking in chat. It's so good to see both of you. All right, so today is the last, oh, geez, if I have this right. Yes, this is the last Wednesday of the month, which means it is challenge time. The challenge this month is cone flowers. I actually love cone flowers. I think they're beautiful and really nice to paint. So we're going to do some cone flowers. I've got mine pre-drawn here. And I don't know, let's go through a couple of things to start. The paper that I'm using, I don't know what size this is. This has been torn down from a larger sheet. But this is Fabriano Artistico watercolor paper. Torn down to, I don't know, 8 by 11? No, 7 by 11, something like that. Here it is. My paints on the side are, of course, my favorite M. Graham watercolor paints, and the brushes that I'm going to be using are my King Art brushes. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm going to start. I'm going to start by grabbing a really big brush. Let's grab this one. This is a size 16, and I'm going to wet the entire page, or I'm going to put paint on the entire page. And I'm going to do the background and the basic color of this to start with, and then we're going to build upon that. And I'm hoping upon hope that things aren't going to get too wet. I guess the first thing I should do is I should mix up a little bit of color so I don't have to wait too long. Once we get this going, I want to get kind of a darker green back here in the back. So a little bit of my Cobalt Green that I like to use, and some, olive green. Those might be most of the colors we're going to use here to do this. Let me get just a quick wash on here. I just don't want, as I move from one place to the next, to have to worry about a hard edge coming in here. So just a quick, since it's not all that, and it's not all that wet, and I want some light colors, right? I don't want this to be very intense at all, so this will dry quite pale, but I want to get this color in the back, and I want to do it all at once here so it looks pretty homogeneous when we put everything together. So I'm just going to drop this color on very quickly, and then that's going to allow us some time to talk about some other things. And let's see, Liza is here. Welcome, Liza. Always good to see you here on a Wednesday evening. Thank you for taking time to make it. All right, I already feel like I'm going really quickly. I do have to ask how everybody's week has been going so far. My week, I will say, has been tiring, but man, does it feel like it has flown by. I feel like this is like Monday night. I was just sitting here thinking before we started the stream that I can't believe it's been a week since we were all together. Previously, it really only seems like about a day has gone by for me. I've been pretty busy recently. I guess that would have a lot to do with it. Susie is here. Hello, Susie. Susie did this challenge and posted it in Discord. So anybody who's a member of the Discord channel can go and see Susie's rendition of this, which is quite good. I'm hoping mine is going to be half as good. So I just want to get some basic colors on here. I know the colors are going to run outside of their intended area. That's okay. I'm trying to, I really am, trying to be a little less cautious with some of the things I paint. I want there to be a little more flowing bit to them, a little more cohesion instead of a mix of individual bits all kind of glued together. So this is one way we can do this, is to make sure that at some level all of these colors run and meld together. There we go. And just this little bit that I missed here. And like I said, if it's not perfect, that's okay. I tell my team on my day job, I don't even like the word perfect. The word perfect is really tough, right? That sets a really high standard. But this is exactly what we want. And as this dries, some of this is going to lighten. It's going to allow these colors to have a softer edge between the two of them. And it's going to give us a general outline for all of this stuff. Let's see, Aliz says, I have many coneflowers in my garden. I'm so excited for this painting. And Natalie, you used to grow them in New York. Such cheerful flowers. They're beautiful. They're wonderful flowers. I absolutely adore them. I don't have any here. Of course, it's hard for me to have a whole lot of flowers growing here because I free range my chickens and they get into everything. And I like my chickens a lot. I'm willing to not have a whole lot of flowers in order to have my chickens. Now, as this is drying, I want to tell you about a friend I found this week. I was walking past my office building and happened to look down and found we don't see them much out here back east in the Midwest. You'll probably see them a lot more. But I found a nice little guy, about this big. Actually found four of them after I started looking a little bit. A praying mantis. And I picked him up and he kind of sat on my hand for a little bit and I put him back down in the bush and he walked right off. And it was a really beautiful little interaction. I love seeing them. They're so alien looking and crazy and just, I don't know, they look prehistoric to me. Let's see, Liza says the birds are much enjoying the centers. So the birds get in and eat the centers out? I guess that makes sense. That's kind of the seedy area, right? It's where the seeds are at. I guess that makes sense. Let's see. I have somewhere, I'm looking down here, I have somewhere a hairdryer that we can use to speed this along just a little bit. It's not plugged in though. Yes, they feast on them. All the more reason why I couldn't have them in my yard. My chickens feast on everything. Even things that I thought chickens wouldn't want to eat, they seem to eat quite a lot of. As an example, oh boy, I can't even plug I got so much stuff plugged into my outlet over here. I can't even plug in a hairdryer. There we go. I have some peppermint that's growing, and my previous brood of chickens wanted nothing to do with the peppermint, and I was like, cool, this is going to be safe, it's good, I can leave it out untouched. And this group of chickens, it took about a week and they've eaten through all of it. Hold on one second, let me mute this so you don't get blasted out. Now, I learned my lesson from last time. I'm not quite dry here, but I think we're close enough. I learned my lesson from last time. Remember, the last time I used that, I blew out all the circuits and my computer died, and I had to scramble to get everything back. This time, not going to do it. Not going to do it. I used it on a low setting. Jennifer, hello. Jennifer, I'm glad you could make it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. So I did all of this just to get some cohesion in here. What I really want to start working on now are these pink petals, right? And I'm going to do this with some Quiacridone Rose. I love this Quiacridone Rose. And where these petals start to double up on things, then we'll mix in a little bit of other color in there. Maybe a little bit of this purple. What is the purple I have here? This is Cobalt Purple that I have on my palette. Maybe we'll mix a little bit of that in and we'll get some layering that way. But I think I'm going to start way over on the left-hand side here. And I'm just going to talk while I'm doing this. Please, please, please feel free to say something, anything in chat, and I will promise to look up from time to time so we can have a conversation. But I'm just trying to fill in a little bit of color and give some more definition to these petals. I'm not necessarily trying to put one in the front and one in the back or anything like that. I just want to define where they're at now that we're starting on layer 2. And you'll see they're going to go on basically as one giant group, right? Almost no space in between. The only space in between you'll see is where the petals have a space in between. Let's see, I'm going to move this connection all the way up there. And I'm just going to continue and go right around the top. Let's see, Jennifer, I hope you're recovering well. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see, Susie. Oh, there's some stuff up here. I'm still working. Let's see. Good to see her. Been a bit of a days after back surgery. Yes. Jennifer, hope you are feeling much better and up and around. The back is one of those areas, holy cow, we take it for granted. But when our backs don't feel well, we understand how much work it actually does. So I hope you're totally back up and in, or maybe you're not totally back up in action, but well on the way to being back up and in full health. That would be really nice. Let's see. I'm still working in oils, but looking forward to getting back to my watercolors during our long winter, Liza. Liza, I hope your winter isn't that long. Well, I don't know. Maybe. I actually kind of like winter. Let's just hope you have a nice winter. Not everybody likes winter. I think winter's a lovely time of year, but I don't mind the cold so much. As I mixed the green gold with my blues, I got some interesting greens. Green gold is a strange color, as I'm sure you found out in mixing them. And we can, while we're waiting for this to dry a little bit, as I'm going through this, if we need to fill a little time, we can mix some green gold that I've got here and see just kind of how cuckoo crazy of a color it really is. And for those who haven't used it, it's odd. It's cool by itself, but it's an odd duck for sure. Let's see, I'm trying to get this close to where it needs to be. Something like this. We're just throwing some color on here. 6 months down, but it is going well. That is good to hear. Good to hear. It's hard to believe, but I definitely don't want to do that again. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Oh yeah, anything with the back. I have all but given up golf because it's so hard on your back. I've played golf for so many years, and now every time I play, I end up taking a dozen Advil or Tylenol or I don't know, whatever the pain. I don't even know what they are. My wife just hands them to me, but I take about a dozen of whatever, and I'm like, I don't even know why I do that because it just hurts so much the next day. Yes, Michael, please do that. Okay, you want to see some green gold mixtures? I think we can do a little bit of that. I don't think that'll be a problem at all. Especially as I don't think this is going to take too much longer. Let's see, these petals are going to come down this way. I'm not trying to be too super specific about this, but you can kind of see I'm just kind of going around excuse me, the cone on the other one and defining a little bit of the shape on the bottom is all I want to do on this layer. Heat is no fun. Let's see, we're getting another heat wave. Oh, Natalie, now we're getting another heat wave. I was just beginning to think we might get below 100. Whoo! Natalie, I don't know how you do it, honestly. I really don't. You are a better desert dweller than I ever have been. I used to live much further south in California, and I used to live in Long Beach, and we had some pretty warm summers, and I remember my girlfriend and I at the time would drive out to Palm Springs during the summer, but anymore, I'm like, I can't do the heat. I was fishing last weekend. Yikes, 100, right, exactly. I swim a lot and I love the sunshine. Well, there you go. That works. I was fishing last weekend here, right, where it never heats up. And I don't know, it got to be 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and the sun was out. And I'm like, man, this is brutal. This is so hot. I'm like, God, it must be 80 degrees. It must be, whatever. Maybe we're having a little heat wave or something. And I got back into my car and it looked and it said 72. I'm like, I think I really have adjusted to the cooler temperatures. Like 72 to me seems like it's blazing hot. Texas is actually cool tonight, 75. Wow. That's so funny. 75 is cool for you in Texas. The high here, where I work inland, I live on the coast. I work inland I work inland exactly 13 miles. It usually gets to be about 10 degrees hotter than here at home, and I think today it only got up to about 65 here. You all would be having a winter jacket on and thermal underwear on. You were huddled up. It's 96 there. Oh my Lord. Oh. I do like in the summer when I go down to the beach here and take my kids to the beach or whatever we do. And I'm like, well, this is a nice summer day. It'll be you know, 60 degrees or whatever. And I'll be out there in you know, shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt. And we can tell everybody who's a visitor because they'll be in a sweatshirt, a hoodie, something like that down on the beach trying to enjoy the beach but still stay warm. Like, you stand out. You really stand out. We can tell who the natives are. But I have been here for 18 years now. 19, going on 19 years now. And I've become pretty acclimated to things. All right, here we go. So there are all my petals, and you can kind of see, right? You can kind of see how they all fit together without, they're all just one big lump, and you can kind of see how they all fit together without doing anything more, right? We could add a little color right here and be done and call it good. We're not going to do that, but we could. And then, of course, we got the nice, cones on here. But you guys want to see some green gold, so let's see. I have green gold, and I have 5 blues. Wow, I have 5 blues. So let's see what we can do with a little green gold. Right, for me, green gold is not green gold. Oh, I'm not even on the screen. Okay, let me adjust a few things here because I want our coneflowers to dry while we're doing this. So here's the original color. This is what green gold on my set looks like. Okay, there's just a nice square of it. Very nice color. It is quite a warm green for sure. Now, let's take a little bit of my favorite here. Which is turquoise. Right? I hope you guys can see this. And I'm just gonna make a little run of this. I'm gonna keep this nice and wet. There we go. And I'm gonna add at the bottom of this some green gold, and we're gonna work it up, and hopefully we can see this gradient go up and what the color changes into. It's a little difficult because I'm working against gravity here, but I think we can do this. We can see what it's gonna turn out to be. Did somebody ask me, what brush is that with the gold band? Okay, Josh, nice to see you in here. So this brush with this gold band, I love these brushes. Let me get a bigger one so you can see it. I'll go back to my big one. I'm not being paid by them or anything, but I do truly love these brushes. These are King Art brushes. There you go. You can see it. King Art. This are the 90-20 series. There it is down here. 90-20 series. And the 90-20 series are pointed round brushes. I wanted brushes that came to a really nice point. These ones do. Pointed round. The 9000 series brushes are more of a general round. More like this one. Right, so this one doesn't quite come to the same point. It never will. Anyway, I go about it. This one is a Casaneo, Da Vinci Casaneo brush, which I also really like, but it's never going to come to the fine point that these King Art brushes do. So that's what these are. Full synthetic, yes, absolutely. These ones are full synthetic. Golden, they don't call it this obviously, but I believe they're just golden tackle-on, or their own version of golden tackle-on, but still quite nice brushes. I very much like these. All the regulars here, and Josh, hopefully maybe you'll become a regular here. They hear me talk about these brushes every every week. I bought these probably 4 years ago now as a pack of 16 and started using them and have never stopped. All right, so let's take this. This one is Phthalo Green, and let's push some of this color up. Ooh, this one really blended up there really nicely. So this should be able to go all the way up. I got a little too much. Let me just push some of this color all the way up there. Come on, clean that up. Thank you so much for answering me. You're a watercolor artist as well. Cool. Do you have a specialty that you like to paint? What kind of brushes do you normally use? You want to check them out ASAP. Like I said, I bought them because I like the pointedness of them, and they haven't ever developed a hook, which some brushes do. Some synthetic brushes do. I've just had very good luck with these. And I'll tell you how I bought them is I waited until King Art had a killer sale, and I think I got them for about half price. Like I said, they've been fantastic for me ever since. This one I might have gotten this turquoise. I might have gotten a little heavy here as I've gone up. We can see that. Michael, what is the second blue you used there? So this second blue is Phthalo Blue. Also one I really enjoy using. I'm just pulling them out of my tray as they are. So I've got turquoise, Phthalo Blue, ultramarine, and this next one is going to be cerulean. It works better like a yellow than a green. That's true. I mean, look how yellow it is, right? It's definitely got some green tinting to it, but it's very yellow. In fact, I'll bet you if I put some Gamboge down there, which I'll do in a second here. That'll be a fun little experiment. I think you would see some interesting what am I trying to say? I think you'd see that it's the same in some respects. Let's see. Here we go. This is Cobalt Blue that I'm pushing up right now, and I really rather like. I never used to use Cobalt Blue for a whole lot of mixing. I would use it for a sky or a reflection or something like that. But the more I go with it, the more I actually like the Cobalt Blue. Let's see. John says, personally, I love Sable, Rosemary Company, Winsor Newton, etc. They've been getting into synthetics and mixes recently. I love the life of the points. It's hard not to like a Sable brush. But I don't know. I went through a phase where I didn't want an animal hair brush. And I just wanted something else, and these came along at the right time. But I do have, if I go out and paint plein air, the only thing in my pack are are Sable brushes and a couple of squirrel brushes. I really like squirrel. What I really want, in a brush is a squirrel hair brush that has a few extra hairs in it that make it much stiffer. I love the feeling of squirrel, and I love the way the water comes off of it, but I don't like how floppy it is. Okay, so let's just look at a little Gamboge here too. Come on. So there's definitely, you can see, if they started with the same yellow, I don't know what the pigment number is. I don't know where my card is. That's got all my colors on it and all the pigment values. I don't know. It's usually taped on my monitor over here, and I don't see it. But you can see this has definitely got a green tint to it, and this one's got a red tint to it. But really, they're not that far off. But look, we've got some cool, interesting colors going on here. I really like this. I think that's a beautiful mixture. Actually, this is a beautiful mixture here too. To me, this is why I kind of don't like ultramarine. This looks dark to me, right? This is dark, but this looks lively. This is dark, and it just kind of looks dark. This one kind of looks lively, and this one is still pretty wet, and it's doing its thing yet. But that's pretty nice up here too. It's usually PY 129. Is that what you said? Green golds. Yeah. Yes. Where is it? Oh, it did fall. So, let's see how accurate Susie is. Azo Green, green gold, PY 129. Look at that. And the base for my Gamboge is PY 151. That doesn't matter. And then PO, Pigment Orange, 62 on top of it, is number 5 Cerulean. This is Cerulean. When you have a chance, can you talk about your plein air setup, easel, palette, etc.? I would love to. I'm looking around to see if it's here. Part of it's here. I'll be happy to. Let me set this off to the side for a moment. You go there. Because this is pretty dry. Bingbo pigment nerd here. Susie, that's fantastic. In fact, this might still be a little damp. I think this will be dry enough to start putting some color on over here. Okay, so if I look at my reference photo over here, and I'm going to tell you what I see, and then I'll let you take a look at it in a little bigger format here in just a second. But what I want to do, you love pigment. Everybody loves pigment information. That's what makes color so cool, is that you can see how the same pigments produce either the same colors or different colors from different manufacturers. I think that's to me is really cool. But if you look over here, one of the things I noticed on this is that, you know, these petals are nice and long, and they come out like this, and that's all well and good. But there's a lot of color, a lot of intense color right up around the center of this, right? And as it goes out, we don't need to do a whole lot as it goes out. So we might be able to wet these and just dab some color in right around the center. So let me show you this a little bigger so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. See, that for me, I'm using a Quiacridone Rose, but that magenta, that pink color is just so intense where it meets up with the center of that flower, with the ball, the cone of this. And as it moves out, it gets really pale and really light. So I'm going to try to duplicate that to some extent here. And excuse me, let's see if I'm successful at that with that at all. And y'all know me, sometimes I'll be very successful with it, and sometimes I'll be slightly less than successful. I am going to put a little bit of this cobalt purple in here. I'm going to do something like that and just let this... Lindsay talks pigments a lot. Does she? I'm sure she does. I don't mean to say that like, what? But I haven't seen one of her videos in a long, long time. I should, just to keep an eye on the competition. No, it's not really a competition. She's fantastic. But I'm sure she does it. And she's got so many color swatch books, and she's got everything documented and cross-referenced, and she really knows what she's doing there. But you know, she does that full time. So I hope she does. Let's see, I need to smooth this out a little bit. There we go. This is one area where maybe having a tilted table is going to work against me just a little bit, but I think we'll be all right. We'll get by. I'm going to get by with a little help from my friends, namely you all. So I'm just going to pre-thank you for that. There we go. And I'm just going to continue to do this on every so many. I'm just going to move my way across, and where we need to add a little color, we'll come back on our next go around and we'll fix it. But I think this is kind of the way I saw this working out in my mind when I started this whole thing, which again, sometimes isn't a big help. So while I'm doing this, Josh, you asked if I could talk about my setup. I can't grab it right now, but I'll tell you what I have. And we can do, if you guys want me to, I'll do a live stream that just has, I'll do a live stream I'll bring in my whole kit, and we'll sit down and we can go through it, and you can see what I use, and I'll tell you why and how and everything like that. I think the kit is really incidental, but it's interesting to see how other people do it. What really makes plein air painting so difficult is that you're sitting there and people are walking by and oftentimes judging you, and you don't have anywhere to run. You just kind of have to sit there, and they can see you and say whatever they want, and the conditions change, and you've got to change with it, and it's a lot of challenges that go along with it. Let's see, we're up to 17. Are we really 17 tonight? Woo! Yes. Oh, I wasn't even paying attention. Yes, anybody who's new who wants to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're from and if you're a watercolor artist of your own. And if you have any questions, I feel like I end up saying this all the time, and I'll continue to say it. If you have any questions of me or of my work or of my art journey, please throw it out there. I'm happy to talk about it. If you have questions about any bit of how art or art stuff works, I'll tell you, I'll give you my take. You can take that for what it's worth. But I pretty much will answer any question. There's not a whole lot that I'm not willing to talk about. So, Sherry's here. Hello, Sherry. Good to see you again. So, Josh, I have the most interesting thing in my plein air kit. I'll talk about that while I'm doing it. Is the easel that I built, and I took a I took a tripod. I'm trying to think of the name here. Some nights it's difficult to think and paint and talk all at the same time. But Diana's here. Hello, hello, hello. I took a tripod and broke off the camera shoe, and I put in a little bolt into that, and you can go down to the hardware store and get yourself a little piece of hardware that will make I think it's just going to be easier to show you. There's a little clasp or a little bit you can buy that will help to sink into a piece of wood. I used a piece of masonite. I'll grab it as soon as I'm done with this. I'll grab it and show you while this is drying. Hello, images by Gretchen. Nice, new here, enjoying this watercolor novice. That's okay. I am too. No, I just pretend to be. Really, I'm probably not really a novice, but I pretend to be. But I have been a novice before. My true art is photography, but painting is fun to do when the sun is out and light is too harsh for photography. Can I add on to that? Painting is fun to do all the time. Photography is awesome. And if you can do photography, you can do watercolor painting. It's probably not too surprising to hear me say that, but because I think everybody can do watercolor painting, and there's a few techniques that you need to learn that will really help you along the way, but really not that tough. I'm definitely not a novice. I've done a few better paintings, but I still feel as though I'm learning on my journey too. And I probably will continue to learn until I stop painting. Right? I just get the feeling that watercolor has so much to give. There's so much there that you could learn different techniques and different ways to do things and different, different tools to use and different everything. There's so much that you could just keep on with it until you're done painting, and I plan on doing that. I still really enjoy it after, well, let's see, how long have I been painting? Watercolor is really helping all your crafts. Oh, there you go. Watercolor helping all the crafts. Good for you, Jennifer. I'm trying to think. I think I've been painting for 20 years, probably 25 years would be my guess. And the continued experimentation is always so much fun. It is fun. It's not just the experimentation, although that is a big part of it. I don't want to put that down, but it's the discovery that you have the ability to do this. I don't know, art, craft. Sometimes I don't know what. It's an art form, but you have to learn the craft of, or the art of watercolor painting, I guess. It's a bad way to describe it, but you get to learn this way to do it, and the discovery that you have it within you to do something that everybody is going to tell you is very difficult is so exciting. It's so invigorating as you learn to do watercolors, and somebody's going to go, "Oh, watercolors is the hardest art form out there. How can you do it?" And you can just go, "You know what? Because I'm that good." I don't know that I necessarily say that. I typically say more along the line of, "Well, I'm still learning myself. I do a little bit all the time." Diana says, "You try to watercolor paint. It usually ends up a mess because I don't plan well." but it's fun and maybe therapeutic. I like to sketch particularly faces. There you go. Diana, I think you hit on a big thing. And I typically, now this is you've caught me on a little different night, because part of learning to do a little bit more is being able to challenge ourselves, right? And so I set up these challenges for myself and for everybody else, so we can kind of stretch a little bit and learn a little bit more as we're watercolor painting. But typically, if I'm painting something close to me, something around me, and if I don't do a good job with it, that's typically okay, because I've spent some time getting to know something that I like just that little bit better, right? Whether it's the seashore here, or whether it's a town up the road a little bit and they've got some historic buildings, or whether it's my cat or my chickens or something like that. I get to spend a little bit more time examining them a little bit, understanding them a little bit, seeing how they move, how the light reflects off of them, something like that. And that brings you a little bit closer to something else. So even if your painting doesn't turn out right, I put that in parentheses, right? Because I'm not sure exactly what right and wrong is. You still get a little bit of discovery in there, and that's fun too. Let's see. Jennifer at Sadiqa, I love photography, just wish I could find a good starting camera. I actually started with photography a long time ago and haven't done much with it in a long time. I have the camera I'm aging, but I got the camera that I got when I was 16 years old. That would have been, well, you'll know exactly how old I am now. That would have been 1986. I have it on a shelf right over here, and it's the only camera I ever want. Thanks, is good ideas, Michael. Thank you. Yeah, it's painting things that you like, painting things around you, painting things you have a feeling about always makes it that little bit better, that little bit nicer. You care about it just that little bit more. So now I'm going to see if I can't come back and do just a little bit more in here. Cycle back around just a little bit. Now y'all are going to see the things I really like to paint and things I don't like to paint as I'm doing this. Everybody here will tell you, I'll get to a certain point and I'll just go, okay. Let's get a move on. I don't think it's going to happen tonight. I really like coneflowers. So and I like this group that's here. I'm going to stick it out and we're going to have some fun finishing this painting off. Natalie, your first good camera was a Minolta X700 all manual. Mine was a Nikon FG. How about that? I remember the what was it? The Canon, was it a Canon A1 that everybody wanted? And I was like, no, you want the Nikon camera. I held out and I got the Nikon camera one time, and then I got to take some photography classes. I was in heaven for about 3 years or 4 years. It was the best time. Okay, so I just want to reiterate, in case I've kind of dropped the ball here a little bit, and you're sitting there wondering exactly what I'm doing. I've got a couple of colors here that I'm working with primarily, right? Quiacridone Rose and Cobalt Violet, or Cobalt Purple. And I've kind of chosen those to be the colors of these petals. And I'm just trying to put some interest in them a little bit. Now, since we're all, let's see, Natalie, yes, I took yes, mine took film too. Ooh, I had my own black and white darkroom. Wow. Jennifer, you're really looking forward to finding a good vintage camera. The old cameras were definitely better. A good starter camera is the Canon M6 Mark II. You can find it on used at Kex or refurbished at Canon. I still have my first camera. My grandma gave me when I was 10, 58 years ago. That's fantastic. Wow. My first camera my dad bought me was a Yashica 35mm camera. I remember your Yashica cameras. Next camera he bought me was a Nikon SLR, right? I've been a Nikon girl for 30 years. Yes! My darkroom equipment was from my dad, who did photography before I was born. My dad, actually, once I got into photography, he kind of got into photography so we could do some things together. And then he bought a whole darkroom and everything. So we got in and we put film into our own canisters and put the caps on them and shot them. And then took them out and developed them all and the pictures and everything like that. I remember my big claim to fame was I'd caught a fish about yay big. and I went in a darkroom and did some dodging and burning and increased the size of the fish and decreased the size of me, so it looked like the fish was about as big as I was, and I was holding it up like this. Tracy's here. Hello, Tracy. Good to see you again. You have a friend who owns a brownie. Oh, I love the brownie. Okay, so here's my Quiacridone Rose right here on my thing, and you see it's this nice. It's not quite an opera pink, right? And it's a quinacridone, so it's not a natural pigment. It's a man-made pigment. And I can just dull that down with a little bit of this Cobalt Violet over here. So you can see, and the quinacridone is very transparent. The Cobalt, because it's a Cobalt, not quite as transparent there. So those are the colors that I'm basically using here. And we're gonna do this just right. And already you can see we've got some nice definition on a couple of these. And I'm going to continue with this, and you all are going to continue talking about 35mm cameras. There we go. And so if I'm painting a painting like a commission, I've got 2 or 3 commission paintings I need to do. I will try my hardest. I guess I can't say it always works, but I will try my hardest to put on paint like this, a little at a time, a little at a time, a little at a time, and a light layer here and a light layer there, and just build it up and build it up and build it up, so that if you're using a transparent color like this quinacridone, it will allow a lot of light through, and it'll look luminous without having to do anything. It'll just do all of that on its own. Right? I've told this story a number of times. When I started, I watched a few videos on YouTube. YouTube was both and still is both, I think, for everybody, a curse and a blessing, right? Never before has it been so easy to find tutorials about how to do things, but it also is it's tough to find the right tutorials, right? You have to find good tutorials, not just entertaining tutorials, and you have to find some that are right for you. And so I found some that I thought were cool and really good, and this guy was like, you never need to put more than 3 layers of paint on any painting that you ever do. If you have to put more than 3 layers on, you're doing it wrong. And so for about a year, I didn't put more than 3 layers of paint on anything I did, and I think it stunted my growth quite a bit. Is it wrong to use Paynes Gray to darken my colors? No, it's not wrong. It's just a different way to do it. You can darken your colors a multitude of different ways. You could use Paynes Gray. You can find the complement of whatever your color is, and that'll kind of darken it. You can find a complementary color and use that to darken it. It's really all about whatever tone you want it to have. So if you're using a Paynes Gray is probably not going to be the most vibrant color. So if you're not worried about color vibrancy, like I wouldn't want to mix a Paynes Gray here with these vibrant pinks because it'll dull it down. But a couple of weeks ago, I don't know how long ago was it, I did a lighthouse where we needed to have some darker, kind of stormier skies and shadows and whatnot. Perfect opportunity for Paynes Gray right there. Perfect opportunity. Is it wrong? Nope. Not wrong. It's just about the situation that you find yourself in. You're going to have to find a neutral then. There's plenty of them out there. Oh, I just did that wrong. Too much moisture. That's a good time to experiment with things, right? Yeah, there is no wrong. If I've learned one thing in painting watercolors, it's everybody does it a different way. There are some better ways to do a technique, maybe, and there are some ways that will allow you to be maybe not quite as successful with some techniques. But as for color or color theory, is there a right and a wrong? I don't think there is. I don't think there is. So many people do so many things, so many different ways, that's one of those things you kind of need to figure it out for yourself, or like I said, like I was trying to do, is find that right person for you and emulate what they do. But that experimenting on it really could be a lot of fun. That might be the best part of the whole thing. Okay, so here's one thing I just thought of. The reason I'm using only 2 colors on these, right? I could use more, but I don't want to use more. Especially for something that's kind of delicate like this, it has a definite color profile. I find that if I try to mix 3 colors, right? If I were to throw Pyrrol Red, let's say, or alizarin crimson into the mix here, I could easily change the color profile of this, and instead of having something that's a cohesive color match, it would all of a sudden be 2 would be exactly like you want, and 1 would be weird, right? If we took a little bit of this alizarin crimson and mixed it with Quiacridone Rose, we get a totally different color than we're going to get with just the Quiacridone, or with the Quiacridone and a little bit of this Cobalt Violet. Look at how different. Well, this might be too much. That might be too much Quiacridone there, but the Cobalt Violet is a very light color. But look, you get the idea that we've just introduced a 3rd color, and I've got these 2, which are really, to me, right, pretty light and delicate colors. And then when this one dries, I promise you, this one's going to come in like a hammer. That alizarin crimson is such a bright color. You do the same thing with this Pyrrol Red. It's a pretty strong color too. And by the time you get a third color or a third and a fourth color in there, then your color profiles just get off a little bit, and pretty soon you're looking at it and you're going, how are they like that? Actually, that's kind of a nice color. I didn't realize that. But you can see, right? That's duller, that's brighter, that's purpler, if that's a word. And that's actually kind of nice. I didn't think it was going to be quite like that. But that's why I'm doing, love the violet too. The violets, I love Cobalt Violet. Cobalt is so nice. Let's see. There's a lovely neutral gray you can make from burnt sienna and ultramarine. You can do it from burnt sienna. You can always make your own gray. This is burnt umber. Natalie, what did you say? Burnt sienna and ultramarine. Here's burnt umber and ultramarine. Come on, ultramarine. And it's going to make a lovely gray color, and you can make it as warm or as cold as you want. And if you want a little stronger gray, I really like sepia. I've become such a big fan of sepia with ultramarine, and you can get a wonderful gray color there. Look at that gray. Let's get some blue in there too. Anyway, because these are complementary colors, opposite sides of the color wheel, they dull down into a beautiful gray. Both of those. Eliza, you love sepia. Everybody raise your hand if you love sepia. Natalie, alizarin crispin alizarin always looks dull to you. Alizarin's a weird color because it's so powerful. Oh, I didn't want that. It's so powerful, you have to use only a little bit, and then when it dries, I don't know, it always looks this weird artificial to me when it dries. I haven't ever figured out exactly why it does that. I haven't figured it out. But who asked? Who said that? Whoever asked the question about the grays. Oh, Natalie suggested it, and then I just picked it up and ran with it. I love the color about the colors. Love the questions about the colors. Because you know why? Because that's something we can sit here and talk about. That's one of the cool things about doing a live stream like this is we're not, we can change course midstream a little bit. If we want to talk about a color or two, we can totally do that. And I like talking about different colors. And lots of times, if you have questions, this is a perfect time to do it. You're talking about it, you're thinking about it. Let's just take a look at it and see what we can find out. All right. I'm trying to talk and paint at the same time. I think this is starting to look good, though. And this is the other thing I've learned to do. Is, and believe me, this took a long time, and probably because of my, the previous discussion is I was doing things in heavy layers, but to mix my paint on my palette a lot lighter. Right, there's a time and a place to take color straight out of the tube or straight out of, the tray there. But most of the time you don't want to do that. And most of the time you're probably going to want a nice light wash of something. You don't want it super heavy. And so being able to put it on a nice big palette like this and let it spread out and run a little bit, spread its feet or wings just a little bit so that you don't have a big glob of color or anything like that. Really super, super helpful. We can always go back and put another layer of paint on, especially if you're putting it on lightly, right? You put it on a little bit more heavily, it's harder to get that second layer on there because that first heavy layer will probably run just a little bit. Watercolor brands are making more. I love all the colors, very nice. I'm phobic with those colors. I just bought a Sepia, sorry for spelling, I haven't gotten used to it now. Sepia. So I'll tell you that I didn't want Sepia. And then I watched, I don't want to say, it's Tim Wilmot. Does anybody watch Tim Wilmot? I love Tim Wilmot. Tim is unbelievable. Oh, no, he does neutral. I'm sorry, he does neutral tint. Why did I buy Sepia? Who did I see ever use Sepia? Tim Wilmot does a lot with neutral tint, and he uses all Winsor & Newton paints. But I saw him use that neutral tint, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. That could blend really well, and so I got some, and that stayed on there. And then I saw somebody else with Sepia, and I was like, well, okay, I'll try that. And then it made its way permanently onto my palette. So a couple of additions there that I didn't originally want or think I would ever need, but I got them nonetheless. Okay, we're getting there. I promise you we're getting there. We're just over an hour right now. I think we're doing really well. I'm going to paint some of these ones that are way behind. I want to make sure these are a little purpler for being in the back. Right, and when I do this, it's going to set the ones in front off a little bit. That's a good thing. Let's see, where else do we have some in the back? Back here, here's one. Just doing this, I think, will probably help make it look like we've moved along pretty quickly, because in essence we're just doing a little bit of negative painting, and it's going to show up as like I've done twice the work. It's like if I can do twice the work with one time the work, I think that's a good thing. There's a couple in there, and let's see. Let's just do this whole thing here. That's going to end up looking a little funny here, but that's okay. Got one here, and come on, we got one back here. Is the blue warm or cold? Uh-oh. Wait a minute, I gotta jump in on this. What blue are we talking about? I love warm cold discussions. What blue are we talking about? Okay, let's see. I don't know. I don't care for the permanent alizarin crimson. Yeah, I bought a tube for a. Okay, CDK, how's it going with the Beatles? Natalie was at PB19. My alizarin crimson is PR264, PR179. Someone mentioned fugitive colors. How do you know when a color is fugitive? You look on a chart. It'll tell you. I have my chart hanging up on the wall over here. It'll usually tell you what colors are fugitive or not. That's really the best way to tell, and manufacturers are really upfront about that. They want you to know going into it so that you're not surprised on the back end. You can check Handprint site and or Kim Crick, not Kim Crock, has pigment database. Actually, Handprint is a fantastic site, and they have a bazillion facts about colors there. If you've never gone to Handprint, it's well worth going to see. Trying to figure out which combinations of colors will work. For example, what shade of blue to combine with another color. So mixing colors is kind of a science of its own, right? There are some general God, I couldn't even tell you at the moment. There are some general rules, especially with blues and yellows, right? A warm blue and a cold yellow will give you a warm green, but a cold blue and a warm yellow will give you a cold green, right? There are little things like that, but I think the best thing to do is keep a, like a little scratch pad next to you. Not a scratch pad, a practice sheet of paper, and just mix it and put it on there. I'm going to have to check Handprint out. I've actually never heard of them. Tracy, you're going to love Handprint. They really do have everything about color on there. I think the guy who did it he was doing watercolor paint. If I'm remembering properly, I should preface this. He was doing watercolor painting while training to be an MD, and as MDs go, or as anybody who's heavily into schooling goes, he was writing everything down as he was trying to learn, and when he got done, he had basically probably had enough to put a book together, but he definitely had enough together to throw on a website so he would never forget it, and it's been there ever since. Handprint's been there for at least a decade that I know of, and it is a pretty definitive reference on color. It really is a great reference on color. This is why I love this group. That's why this group is the best. Because we all come together. We may not all know everything, but between us all, we've got most things figured out. Oh man, put a dot right on there. We've got most things figured out. So we're still at 20 people here. That means we got a few new people that haven't said hello. If you have an inclination, we're all a pretty friendly bunch here. We like, obviously, if you've been here for a little while, you've seen we like to talk paint and pigment and colors and paper and brushes and all kinds of things. So if you have a question about any of those, throw it out there. Say hello. Throw it out there. We would love to talk to you. Sudika, yes, judging color temperature in a color range can be tricky. Warm blues seem like an oxymoron. Yes, and cold reds do too. Yeah. That's very true. If I I had my my cabinet over here cleaned off, I would go and I would grab a whole bunch of the colors over there, and we could do a test on colds and warms and what the difference is between each of them. Let's see if I've got a sheet here. Here, I can do this. We can see the difference between a warmer and colder. Like, I mean, right, this red is a warm red, and this, right next to it, is cold. I don't know if you call this a true red, but it's pretty red, but it's pretty cold. Right, you can see the difference there. And this is a cold yellow. Come on. And this is a warm yellow. You can see kind of what the difference is here. Right, you can totally see that's cold, that's warm, that's cold, that's warm. My green's not so much. What is, let's see. People say that's warm. Is this warm or cold? This is cold, right? That's cold. You can see, you know, differences in warms and colds for each. Greens are a little different because they're a mixture of all difference, but they have obviously the same things going on. There are warms and colds for each of those. Just a little bit there. Not too much, right? Just a little bit of information about warms and colds. Let's see. What have I got going on here? I need to do, let's see, I'm going to do a little color under here. Like this. Blue is cold, red is warm. But, and in general, that's true. Blues are always going to be colder than reds. But there is a gradient in there of when reds, some reds are, you know, blue tinted and some reds are yellow tinted, and that tint makes all the difference in the world. It's tough to know sometimes, though. It really is. Warm equals what and cold equals what. There's no real guide. I mean, there is a guide, but the guide would be look at the manufacturer's color sheet. If you want me to grab it, mine, I've got it pinned on my wall over here. I'm happy to grab it and show it to you, and you can see kind of what the manufacturer will tell you. Let me do that. So we're getting some petals, some individual petals in here, I think, right? Are we getting this? It's coming along, right? Actually, I think for as much as I've been jibber-jabbering tonight, I think it's coming along pretty well. I feel like I've just been talking. Okay. Ooh, that's too much. That's too much. I don't want it straight. Okay, let me grab this color chart real quick. Oh, look, these petals are popping out. Pop, 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 pop. So here's what M. Graham puts out. And this is several years old. But each one has a rating on it, right? It's got, that's nothing you can see. Let's do this. Zoop. There you go. Hansa Yellow. There's the one I use right there. PY 3 and 107. The light fastness is 2. It's staining and what's the S? Oh, the ST is semi-transparent. So you can see everything you need to know about that color right there. And then you can tell when you look at it, I just got some pins in my hand and they're squeezing me. You can tell that looks pretty cold. It looks colder than this, right? And look how warm that looks. And as we go on, we get warmer, right? That's cad yellow, which is very warm. It's almost an orange. And then we get into cad orange. So we've got cold, warmer, 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 right? And it doesn't necessarily fit with all of them. So you guys, Susan, let's see. Now I'm really confused. I just read about this. In general, if a color has more yellow in it, it's warmer. If it has more blue in it, it's colder. Right, because everything is going to be a mixture of things, right? It's not all single pigment colors. So this permanent green pale right here has pigment green and pigment yellow in it. That's probably going to be warmer than one that has just pigment green in it. Like this Cobalt Green, which is what I use, is a cool green, right? Look how much warmer or brighter that is than that one. I don't know. And then down here, it tells you what all of the different pigments are that are used by them. Anyways, it's a wonderful reference tool that Diana's got, oh, no. Diana, I hope you can come back next week. We'll be here doing the same thing all again, painting something else. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you got to go, I totally get it. Anyways, this is put out by M. Graham. There you go. This is their watercolor one. These are just their standard colors. They've got obviously more, but in my opinion, that's the best way to pick it up and figure out what's warm, what's cold. Look at it. Look at the pigments that are in it. Are they warmer pigments? Are they more yellow? Are they more red? Are they more blue pigments in it? And by doing that, you can help to define what cold and what warm is for you. I don't even know who asked that. I hope that helped. I hope that helped and didn't confuse. Sometimes I answer things and they confuse. I painted some coneflowers today in my dollar store sketchbook. Oh, I love dollar store sketchbook. We'll do it on Mead paper tomorrow. Okay, I haven't been getting much time for the challenges lately. You know what? That's fine. I can't say anything about that because I'm having a hard time finding time for painting in general. I don't know if I told you guys earlier, I've been so busy lately. I'm hoping it's going to slow down sometime soon, but I'm not convinced. But just on the go. So, if you are having to do other things and haven't had time for the challenges, totally understandable. Completely, totally understandable. I get it. Life gets in the way of watercolor painting somewhere. Did you hear the bang of an acoustic guitar? You didn't, but you have very good ears. What you heard was the bang of an acoustic ukulele. And I have it hanging over here, and I love my little ukulele. But no, I'm not going to grab it and doing it. I have been enjoying fishing. Natalie, I cannot tell you. I say thank you to my wife at least once a week now, going, oh, I'm so glad, because I wouldn't have bought a fishing license for myself. I'd have just said, no, there's stuff to do around the house. I'll just do that and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You know, there's other stuff to do. She was like, no, you got to get out of the house and do something. And so she bought the fishing license for me. I didn't ask her to do it. She just did it on her own. And I've just been tickled. I've just been tickled to go out and do some fishing. And I tell her thank you about once a week. I'm like, this is great. Why won't I will? So all right, look, I've got this, right? Up. And which I like, so I adore that. This one is my favorite. Love this one. Look at this one. The cutout down here, so you can get to these little frets down here. I love this one. This live stream is going to go on for a long time now. This one's just beautiful, classic, nice and shiny. Love the head on this one. It's got a nice sound, a little high. This one's got such beautiful inlay on it, but I think something's wrong with the G. I can't hold it. I gotta do this. I'm nowhere near good with a ukulele. So that's my collection. So nobody knows, because I used to, if you guys all remember, I used to say, well, I'll be in Discord before the show starts. Anybody who wants to come into Discord can come there, and I have a little pre-stream hangout. And I would just sit in there. I would turn it on, just play ukulele. And nobody ever showed up at me. So you all could have been hearing me play ukulele for a long time. But I do play it before this. My new musical channel, no way. I do play it just as a little way to relax before this, starting at about 20 minutes before this live stream starts. I'll grab some music and throw it in front of me and start to play and just kind of relax with it on a little bit. Whoa, too much. And then as we get closer to go live time, I set it aside and start worrying about other things. So there you go. So now you know my whole ukulele career. But it's a fantastic little instrument. I like that it's only got 4 strings instead of 6. I don't have to stretch my hand all out to use it and whatnot. It's just fun to do, and it's not too hard to learn. Even I can learn how to use it. So it's all pretty good. Oh, look now, I just looked. Yep, so as soon as I started playing the ukulele, everybody left. Attendance is now down. It's way down. Might have something to do with me just yammering on too, but I'm going to blame it on the ukulele. Okay, let's see. I got a few more of these to go, and we're just about done with our petals here. Let's see. How did I do? I think they're really starting to pop out here. I really think they're starting to look nice. We went from something that didn't have a whole lot of definition in them to something that has a lot of definition in them in a very short amount of time. Liza, you love me playing the ukulele. I just had to learn a couple of Billy Joel songs on there to play along with my kids. That was fun. To play Billy Joel on a ukulele. I was playing the Eagles earlier today. I don't know. It's a fun, like I said, it's a fun little instrument. Okay, cool. So actually, as I'm looking up there, that actually looks pretty nice. There's a lot of definition on there. I don't know that it plays a banjo. My dad was good with the harmonica. I started with the harmonica. I love the harmonica. A little olive green, maybe some of this cobalt green. I don't think we need to be too worrisome about this. Let's get a stem or two on here. I want to get a little bend in these. I don't want these to go exactly straight. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. Straight lines, straight vertical, straight horizontal lines in a painting always look a little artificial. So if you're doing this, just a little bit of bend to whatever you're doing is probably going to help out quite a bit in making your painting look a little bit more realistic. Whether it is more realistic or not isn't really the point. It's just going to make it look. Never make them straight. Right. Hotel California, your favorite. That's just a fun song to. That's just Hotel California is just a fun song to play. You never make them straight. They just look odd. I'm gonna put a little bit of that now. Okay, so now the last thing we have to do here, right? The one big thing that's missing from this is the centers, right? And I kind of want to do this a little different. And I'm going to do this with burnt umber. I have to think again. Burnt umber and Pyrrol Red, right? And you're probably going to go, that sounds pretty horrible, but I think it's going to work out. And maybe we'll even throw in a little bit of yellow ochre in here too, but it's going to work out because check this out. I'm not worried about getting it exactly like the reference photo, right? The reference photo's got all those little, they're not little stalks, but they're little bits of whatever, those fine points that are in there. I'm not, honest to God, I'm not worried about that. That's kind of not my style of painting here. But what I do want to do, I want to add quite a bit of interest to this. Ooh. And I think we can do that with something like this. Don't get too much. Don't get too much. Don't get too much water in there, Michael. Come on now. Right? I want to get some nice colors in there. Maybe some of this Maroon Perylene would go in there nicely. Go, Michael. There we go. A little bit more of this, right? I'm not really concerned about a shadow on here. I'm not concerned about making this look like a perfect round sphere or a cone or whatever. I want to get some color that's going to add some interest to this. And if you're asking me, I think that has a little bit more interest. Now I'm going to come back in a little bit and do a little bit of me-izing on this. But I'm basically going to do this same thing on all of these. Right on the bottom here, I want to put a little bit of water down here to start it so that I can get it mixing a little bit on its own. Right, and if I work my way across, I'm not going to end up with a tide line at the beginning and whatnot. I'm learning, this is one of the things I'm learning, is that a little bit of extra water used strategically really can pay dividends later on. So, and then I think I had some of this whatever that is. What is that? Yellow ochre. Right? And then we're going to move right into some of this red. It's going to come right up the side. And come on, tell me if you were a bee that you wouldn't want to go and land on this because that looks so nice. Right? Look at that. And if I need to adjust this, maybe go up the side a little bit more. Well, it's still wet. We can do a lot with it while it's still wet. Oh, look at that. Right? I like the way that looks. And we can put, if you want to put a little highlight right there, you want to sweep a little bit away, like that looks nice. I like that. See, to me, watercolors, that's what makes watercolors so cool right there. Is you can do that. You can't, well, before I say you can't do that with any other medium, I guess you could do that with other mediums. I don't really know. So I don't paint with other mediums. But I guarantee you can't do that as easily with other mediums. Watercolors just are so cool like that. There's nothing else that is as interesting or cool or allows you to do something as neat as that right away. It just tickles me that you can do this in watercolors, and anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. There's no magic to it. Great way to do the cones. I'll tell you why I want to do the cones this way. I have a hard time doing so much of that rote stuff, right? We already did a lot of repetition on all of these petals. I don't know that I could have sat and done these whole things the same way, but I can put something on here that's going to make it look really cool. And when you see it, you're going to go, that's neat. And it's going to have this cool watercolory feel to it. And whoever looks at this is going to go, you know what? I don't know if that's exactly what coneflower is supposed to look like, but that looks neat. They're going to like it. This is the big finish, right? This is when you're done, when you're just about done and you're trying to show off that little bit, this is what you do. Now I got this big one right in the middle here, and this one's going to be problematic because we got to paint around a couple of other ones, but a little patience, we can do it. And in fact, if you can't paint around these ones all that much, because we did the pink first, and because that brown that sits on the bottom is a lot thicker, a lot heavier, a lot less transparent, we can go right over the top of it. We can redefine these leaves, these petals, if we wanted to. I don't think I want to. I kind of spent a lot of time doing it. I think they look quite nice. But if we wanted to, we could do that. And yes, for those of you who are new, I turn my page a lot. And I readily admit that it is, from time to time, a little distracting, and I apologize for that. But I will also say, as per a previous discussion, there's so many different ways you can do things in watercolor, and I learned to paint by moving my page. I didn't learn to paint by turning my brush or my hand or anything like that. And so this is how I paint, and if I want the end product to turn out nice, this is kind of what I have to do. I see something going past. Oh, that is pretty. Okay, good. I just love the way the colors flow across the paper. Right, perfect. Great way to do the cone. Thank you, Michael. You're nailing it. You guys are so nice. The only thing better than watching colors move is the satisfaction of pulling up a border tape after finishing a piece. That's true. I want to blend like you. I'm a veteran. I don't turn my iPad anymore when Michael turns his paper. If I could attach this camera to my paper somehow, and oops, I don't want that, and have the camera turn every time I turn my paper, I would do that. I don't exactly know how to do that, though. But it is, I understand, it's somewhat distracting. There, look at that. That comes in there. Let's get a little bit more of this color right up there. We can re-profile that petal just a little bit. And this one, I used to be against leaving some of this white space here. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of white space, but in this instance, I don't think I mind a little white space in here. I'm sorry, I'm not looking up all that much. I want to make sure I get some of this in here because this is the critical part. This is the part that's going to make or break the painting. It's going to make it look right, or it's going to make it look a little wonky. So this has got to come up that little bit. This has got that, it's just so big right here. Oh, I think it looks great. Let me take a little bit of this color out here. Now, these are starting to dry a little bit, and if I want to, now this is me, okay? This is new Michael. This is the way I've started to do things, and you guys have kind of seen some of this develop as you've watched. And let me get something for an example here. I think I've got it. Okay. Okay. Give me one quick second. Where did they go? Thought it was right here. There it is. Okay. So this is the new way that I think that I'm taking the direction of my painting, right? And I don't want to do an outline necessarily, but I think this is an interesting, it puts an interesting twist on things. So like this guy, right on the outside, I didn't have to put feathers on the outside, but if I put a dark edge on here and put a few feather-ish things on here, this side too, all of a sudden those edges have interest. Same thing here, a little dark on the outside, a little dark on the outside. It adds a little bit of interest to things. So I can actually do that over here. I could if this was dry. I could. I can't because it's not dry. You define it. Yes. You help to define it. It gives it a little bit more pop, a little bit more sizzle, a little bit more zing when you put that on the outside of it. So give me just a second. Let me do this because I want to do this. I think this will be fun. I'm going to mute you again because I don't want your ears to get blasted out by this. So give me a second, if you would, please. Okay, I think that'll be enough for tonight. Let's see. Wait, the only thing better than watching colors movie. Oh, Jennifer says you love these lives. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna get a nice bit of color here. Some of this red, some of the brown. And I'm just going to go around the outside, and I'm going to, well, you're going to see what I'm going to do is just a little bit of something here, right? Maybe there are a couple little things that kind of fly off the side here. Okay. I don't need to do too much. And then I'm going to blend this in. Hopefully I don't take away too much of the liveliness of the inside of this, but just enough that I add to the outside of it so it gives it some texture and some life and some oomph, right? A little bit more color right down around the corner. Let's bring that right on around. There, that one, all of a sudden, right, that one looks like it's got a little bit more than the one up here. And we didn't do a whole lot with it. Right, I didn't really do much. I put some extra color on the outside. I got so much stuff on my desk now. Put that little bit of extra color on the outside. It makes it pop just that little bit. If you want a quiet blower, look up the Heated craft tool from Ranger. Nah. I'm betting the Heated craft tool is expensive, and I got that for $2 at the Goodwill. I'm okay with a little noise. Right? Again, just a little bit up the outside here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just a little something there. And then I always want to make sure I can blend this out on the inside of it. Oh, get to it before it dries. Please get to it before it dries. And that little bit of something is gonna, it's not much, but it adds a lot. It really adds a lot to it. Right? This one might be even better than the first one. There's so much more texture and life to it. And then we can take away all of this color because this is a light layer. We're not really pulling anything off from underneath. Now look at, oh yeah, you can see now that there's nailed it. Liza, I hammered it. Liza's saying I hammered it. Not $2 but 20ish. I have a day sleeping hubby, so I had to get. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Anyway, you can see how this simple, really, it's a pretty simple technique. There's not really anything to it, but it can really add some interest. Right? That's why I wanted to make sure I got this in. My water bucket up here is really, really red. It's really got a lot of paint in it tonight. And I can pull this right on around, some darker colors in there. Now it's got some juice and some life to it, right? It's just a cool little technique. It's not much, but it's not much. It's just enough. It's just enough. Now this one's gonna be a little bit trickier because I've got to do this around that. And what's interesting is, from what I've found in doing this, is it really doesn't matter the color you use. You can use in this instance, I could use a red, which I'm using. I could use a brown. I could probably do this with the ochre color, and it wouldn't really matter because you're not adding enough on there to severely alter anything. What you're doing is you're adding to the outside, so it looks like the fuzziness, the roughness of the outside of this more than anything. But it adds that cool bit of something. I don't know. I you can't tell I get excited about it at all, right? It's just one of those things. Just one of those things. No big deal at all. Oh, man. I knew it. Get off of there. Put my finger or my palm right in that. Cool. We've pushed that all the way to the edge. There are not going to be any tide lines there at all. If we want to have a little highlight in here, we can put that right back, and that's it. Boom! That is my take on coneflowers. And I got to tell you, it turned out pretty close to what I had in my mind when we started. I'm going to sign this right here. I like this one. I'm tickled that this turned out this well. So I really like this one. Yeah, I'm tickled with this. So that's where I'm going to end this one tonight. Perfecto. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for joining in and helping to make my Wednesday night enjoyable. I hope I was able to make your Wednesday night a little bit enjoyable. Everybody who's here, I couldn't even name you all. I couldn't go back through. Liza, Sherry, Susie, Tracy, Natalie, Jennifer, Tom was here at the beginning. Who else was here? Sherry, did I say Sherry? Liza, who was asking about Diana was here. Wow, so much chat tonight. I can't keep it straight. Somebody was asking about my plein air set. Wow, it was a lot. So many people. Anyways, thank you all for helping to make my Wednesday night enjoyable. I hope you had an enjoyable time here. I hope you will be able to join me next Wednesday. I almost said Thursday. Next Wednesday back here in the studio. I don't know what we're going to be painting quite yet, but I'll let you know probably Monday, and we'll go from there. I'll also be updating the challenge for next month. If you want to join the Discord and get in on that, the link should be down below. Whoops, how about this? Down below, down there. Follow that and sign up. If not, that's okay. That's okay. You can do it on your own, and we'll talk about it. But until next week, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope to see you back here again next week for our next painting. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.